All right, there we go. It's looking better now. Looking better now. I've got chat on my side, so let's make sure before we even get going that the chat works. All right, got the chat up. So who had that? Who had that though on their? So we wait for some people to fill in here. Who had that on their bingo board that Ricky Stenhouse would win the Daytona 500, much less win it the way he won it? Several cautions at the end there helping him out. Uh, see, before the race, Ricky Stenhouse's average finish here was, let's see here. Stenhouse's average finish was 23.7 before this race, and he had two top 20s, no top 10s, and zero top fives. So if you pick Ricky Stenhouse, we know he's good on restrictor plate tracks, but pretty much he either wrecks or wins, and usually wrecks. So if you had that on that one, good on you. Not only that, but Ricky Stenhouse has locked in to the 16 championship drivers. And just looking at this rundown, I don't know what happened to Kyle Busch, but he finished 19th. But here's the full rundown: Ricky Stenhouse first, Joey Logano second, Christopher Bell third, Chris Buescher fourth, Alex Bowman fifth, AJ Allmendinger sixth, Daniel Suarez out of nowhere for eighth, Ross Chastain also out of nowhere for ninth, Riley Herbst. Who had that on their bingo board? Riley Herbst has a top 10 in the NASCAR Cup Series. Riley Herbst finishes 10th in the number 15 Sonny D car. So the Sonny D car finishes 10th, and Ricky Stenhouse wins the race. I don't know what it means, but that's crazy. Travis Pastrana, another one. Who had that on their bingo board? Travis Pastrana finishes 11th. Kevin Harvick 12th in the Farewell Tour. Zane Smith first race in the Cup Series at Daytona 13th. Cody Ware 14th. What's up? Martin Truex Jr. finishes 15th. Corey LaJoie 16th. Denny Hamlin 17th. Kyle Larson 18th. He ran such a clean race till the very end, and they got him. Kyle Busch 19th. Another one had a great race till the end. Bubba Wallace 20th. The way his day went, I guess you got to feel pretty decent about that. Eric Almirola 10th. Of course, he caused the big one at the end. Brad Keselowski, Austin Cindric, Noah Gragson, Ty Gibbs. Noah Gragson finishes ahead of Ty Gibbs. So Rookie of the Year battle. Noah Gragson is exactly 1 point up, unless Ty Gibbs got some stage points or something I don't know about. Harrison Burton, Todd Gilliland, Michael McDowell, Connor Daly, BJ McLeod, Jimmy Johnson. If you had BJ McLeod finishing in front of Jimmy Johnson, good on you. Justin Haley, Austin Dillon, William Byron, Chase Briscoe, Ryan Preece, Eric Jones, Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick, and the first man out of the race, we were talking about it, was Ty Dillon with engine failure on lap 28. All right, let's get to the chat. Rich L said, "Not me." Yeah, that was bananas. I was not expecting that finish at all, but it was definitely cool. BJ Morgan said, "Not me," but congrats to him. Yeah, man. Look, congrats to Ricky Stenhouse. He takes the brunt of all these jokes where people call him Ricky Spinhouse and all this other stuff. But not only that, congrats to JTG Doherty, a one-car team. A one-car team has won the Daytona 500. How insane is that? That is absolutely crazy. And not only that, but Brad Doherty now has one Daytona 500 win with his race team, and Michael Jordan has zero. So don't think that when they go golfing, that a little bit of junk is not going to be talked about that. So it has strong implications, but the biggest one, of course, being that we've got somebody locked into the playoffs that a lot of people didn't have even getting to the playoffs. Supreme Ball says, I won't even BS. I had a thought that he'd win because last year he was strong. Look here, and that's a good point. Let's not joke ourselves. He's been the fastest car at Daytona 2 or 3 years, and he didn't seal the deal and win the race. So it's not necessarily it shouldn't be unexpected, right? He's been very fast since they got that 47 car over there. Let's see here. Supreme Baller said I should have bet. Oh man, don't beat yourself up about it. Adam Stair, a wasted playoff spot. He will be out in the first round, says Adam Stair. Probably a lot of people feel that way about it, but then again, like a lot of people thought that he wouldn't win. So maybe maybe he has that Austin Dillon year where Austin Dillon made it to the round of 12 or whatever, or almost made it to the round of 12 or whatever, and just upsets everybody. What a race! Wow, good job, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. coming from Bumblebee. Yep, he shocks the world. He had a lot of help, of course, a lot of help. A lot of wrecks to get him there. But Rick Ware Racing, top 10. Travis Pastrana, highest finishing car for 2311. Yeah, that's bananas. BJ Morgan all over it. Yeah, that is 100% crazy. Who had Rick Ware having a top 10, and who had, like, Riley Herbst is another one that gets a lot of hate, but Riley Herbst with a top 10. This race was insane. Like, I'm still trying to unpack all of it, everything that happened. I got my notes here. I actually wrote a bunch of stuff down. But let's see. Keith Coterie said I had Stenhouse on my fantasy team. Oh, hey, there you go. Look at that. Supreme Baller. I didn't even think Pastrana would make the race. So there you go. He gets 11th place, and a lot of people thought he wouldn't even make the race. BK got those stage points. Yeah, so that will soften the blow for Brad Keselowski was in that last wreck there. So that'll soften the blow of that because he's got several stage points. And they were in good shape until that last series of pit stops and then the caution. And RFK had it pretty much under control for a little while there. 4 hours of commercials with a little racing. Fox sucks, says Josh Strickland. So here we go. I did write that down. So we had 5, 6, 7. We had at least 7 side-by-sides, 7 commercial breaks for side-by-sides at, 4 commercials apiece. So go ahead and do that math. Then for just full screen regular commercials, we had 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18 full commercial breaks with 4 commercials apiece on that. So, factor that in. That's insane. So assume that every commercial is 30 seconds. Let's see, what did I say here? 5, 10, 15, 18. Get the old calculator out here. 18 times 4 equals times 30. 30 seconds divided by 60. 36 minutes of commercials where you didn't see the screen, at least. That's just the ones I counted. That's not official. So 36 minutes of commercials at least where you didn't see the screen in the Daytona 500. So there you go. Really thought he was going to do it, says Rich L. I thought a lot of people were going to do it at various points. But yeah, I thought Kyle Busch had it until that last caution. I thought him and Austin Dillon were in good position. But then when that last caution came, I was like, here we go. They're about to pile them up every single lap now. Supreme Baller says, just sucks all these races all this weekend finished under yellow besides ARCA. Yeah, I agree. But that's just the way it is. And I'm sure a lot of the Kyle Busch fans are on change.org trying to sign a petition to get NASCAR to get rid of the overtime rules. Because if it had really ended under caution, he would have been the winner, of course. That's where that joke comes from. I just tuned in. Is Larson okay after the wreck? Says Bobby Fouché. Yeah. So Kyle Larson is okay. Fox didn't update it or anything like that, but they did show some in-car footage where he was getting out of his car. So the window net at least went down, and he did at least get out of his car. So as far as that goes, he's okay. Now, if there's anything other than that, but he was at least able to get out of his car. William Tyre says, glad to see Doherty get it. Yeah, it's really cool that small team, like the team that everybody keeps talking about, they're about to get bought out for their charter. They just won the Daytona 500, the granddaddy of them all, right? Keith Coterie says, all the more reason to agree with your assessment of the whole win and you're in is garbage. Hey, there you go. Look, Ricky Stenhouse could literally start and park because you've got to compete in every race. He could start and park every race and he would be in the playoffs. So there you go. He won't do that, of course, but I'm just saying you could. So literally somebody's strategy next season could be, hey, I'm going to try the Daytona 500. If by some miracle of God we win it, all I've got to do for the whole season is start and park and work on getting funding for those last 10 races. So somebody could literally do that. Spring Baller, I like Stenhouse because he's a Patriot. Yeah, 1776. Last time he won a race, I think he was is when he screamed the 1776 we're the champs on Daytona on July 4th, I think. I think that was at Daytona too, right? So Old Home Guy says, how about nobody picking Bell in the earlier live stream? I said he was going to run good. I thought he had a good car, and he did finish, I think, third. I don't have my phone's turned off now. But yeah, he had a good car, and he definitely had a chance. I think the interesting thing about Bell is that Tony Stewart was talking about him. And this was a very subtle thing, but he said me and Kyle Larson were talking about him, and Kyle Larson said he's better than me on dirt, which, if Tony Stewart is talking to Kyle Larson about Christopher Bell, and Joe Gibbs isn't going to let him run on dirt, I mean, you start connecting the dots. Let's just start that conspiracy right now. Tony Stewart's probably thinking hard about stealing him from Gibbs. A lot of little subtle things were dropped in the broadcast booth today. Did I hear it right, or did Mike Joy not say that Richard Petty sold out his share in Legacy Motorsports, and that's the portion that Jimmy Johnson bought, and that those two things were separate? They just happened to happen at the same time. So if that's true, Richard Petty is just hanging out at the racetrack with the gang, right? So that's interesting. I don't know if I heard that right. Did he divest of the whole thing? I'm going to have to research that further because if he did, that is a huge story that they just sort of slid in the commercial 500. In between commercials, they slid that in. Ken Pryor, I like the Coke Zero. I like Coke Zero because someone asked Coca-Cola to stop with that god awful. I need to try it first commercial. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They definitely need to. They need to stop with that. That commercial has gone on for a long time now. It's time to retire that one. William Tyre said, "Don't know that they have Winter Circle anymore." Yeah, that's a good point. I think they still do have Winter Circle down there. I know they had it for the 24-hour race, but we got to stop doing these. I don't know. I'm not a big fan. We don't have to stop doing anything, but I would appreciate it if they stopped doing the start finish line interviews. Those Fords were fast, says old home guy. Yeah, they were definitely fast. But at the end of the day, you gotta be equally lucky and equally fast at this place. Commercial break average was every 8.8 laps. That sucks, says Gojo. I agree with you 100%, man. It was pretty terrible. Randy Harrison says, "Yeah, Ken must have been it must have been 20 times talking about the yeah Coke Zero commercial. I want to try it first. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that one, that's what they're talking about. In case you don't know, and that was almost perfectly as irritating as that commercial is. Just so you know, I went to the casino before the race and $50 on 7 different drivers. Spent 350, and instead Ricky Stenhouse. I took Ryan Preece and had Joey Logano for the win, plus 5 other guys. I hate it when that happens, man. I hate it, Steven. That's terrible, dude. That's just a bad deal. You got a bad break there. Chrome Diesel, atrocious, seeing commercials every 7 or 8 minutes. It was pretty bad, man. At one point, I went to the refrigerator to get a drink during commercials, and I came back, and as soon as I sat down, they went to another commercial. So it got pretty ridiculous at one point. LFG Ricky says Jacob Polian. Definitely. If you're a Ricky Stenhouse fan, today is your day. Celebrate Hardy. Let's see here. Did Larson get hurt? Said Randy Harrison. They showed him getting out of his car. So as far as I know, unless it was something, but he definitely got out of the car and the window net was down. They did show that. I saw it on Twitter. I should say. Bubbles hit Denny at the end of the race, says Josh Strickland. So yeah, little employee on boss crime there. Chrome Diesel said the overtime rule needs to go away. I don't know. Maybe after the first try. So you try it one time, and if it doesn't work the first time, you get rid of it. Like I'm not all for this. Keep doing it. But they're in the sports entertainment game. They've come out and said it numerous times, so they're not going to get rid of it. Used to have a good post-race show. No more, says William Tyre. Yeah, like Fox didn't even have it on the schedule to have a post-race show. So that's interesting, which is why I'm here, because I was like, well, I'm sure everybody that watched the daggum race, or at least tried to watch the race through the commercials, does at least want to talk about it. And I did try to stagger it with Iceberg. I tried to go an hour after him, so I try not to like bunch it up on top of everybody here. Kyle Larson, I just can't catch a break on these plate tracks. Yeah, I agree. I was like, man, we're almost to the end. We're almost to the end. He's gonna get to the end, and then at the very end, he got wrecked again. So I was like, dang, gummit. At that point, I didn't even care if he won or lost. I just wanted him to finish the race with no damage, but to no avail because it didn't work out. He got wrecked again. Let's see here. We got a super chat. Ryan Fussner, appreciate it, man. In my opinion, all the races were kind of rough. Rain with the truck. Oh yeah, the rain with the trucks was terrible. I agree with that. Xfinity was a snoozer until the very end. I agree with that one. And Cup ended as a wreck fest. Plus the commercials, super speedway racing. Yay, super speedway racing. At least Pastrana finished and Logano didn't win. Yeah, so Travis Pastrana is probably the biggest story that nobody's really talking about just yet, because I think everybody's still letting it sink in that Ricky Stenhouse won. But Travis Pastrana, basically in his first ever Cup Series race at Daytona, first time, and he got basically no practice until after the duels, right? So this dude just shows up, and he was in more than one wreck, if I'm not mistaken. I know at one point he was at least a lap down. I've got that in my notes somewhere. He did go a lap down at one point. So he comes back from being a lap down and finishes in 11th place. And he was wrecked at the end. He was definitely wrecked at the end. So Travis Pastrana, like that, who had him finishing 11th? That's almost as big a surprise as old Ricky Stenhouse winning the whole daggum shebang. So let's see. I wish KFB won tonight. Dang it, said Supreme Baller. I think a lot of Kyle Busch fans, and just a lot of people in general were pulling for Kyle Busch to win that race because he's come oh so close. And I know I'm going to catch a lot of flack for this, but it was very reminiscent of all those times that Dale Earnhardt Sr. got so close to winning, and then something crazy happened. Kyle Busch got so close to winning, and then something crazy happened. And super funny thing, I'm actually going to show it in the full video that I make tomorrow. But because of the way they had to wrap that car, that was a backup car. They did wrap the number 8 over the number 3. So for all of you who wanted to see Kyle Busch drive the number 3 car, technically he was driving the number 3 car, because if you take a look at the side of that number 8, you can see an embossing of the 3 that they had to put the wrap over. So that was pretty cool to me as well, for all the people that wanted to see that. But he was oh so close, but close only counts in horseshoes and those things that they threw in WW2. So yeah, let's see here. Where did KFB finish? It says like KFB finished in 19th position unofficially. I haven't seen the official results just yet. Adam Stair says, is Larson okay? Yeah, Larson is okay. They did show him, or at least okay enough to get out of the race car. I did see on Twitter where he was getting out of his car. Not a great job of them reporting on who was or was not hurt at the end of the race as well. So I will throw that in there. Say Kyle, not Cal. Oh, bad luck for Byron returns. Yeah, Byron is another one that almost made it to the end of it. But he was one of those cautions right before the end. I think he was the Austin Dillon caution. So that was that. Unfortunately, y'all notice not a word with Harvick taking out Reddick, Blaney, and Chase. If that would have been BK or Ross, they would have gone at it forever. Says Rich L. Yeah, that's a fair point, right? So Harvick is on the hero arc because he's retiring. So they're not going to say anything bad about him, whereas they want Ross to be the bad guy because bad guys sell tickets. So if Ross or Denny Hamlin or somebody like that had done it, there definitely would have been an uproar about it. BB, yes, that is the case with Legacy MC. The King is a consultant now for Legacy. Okay, so he's a consultant, so he does still have an official title, but he has sold all of his shares. So that's a story that sort of flew under the radar with all the craziness going around Daytona. Like, look, there's a ton of sponsor news, there's a ton of contract news. Legitimately, I could probably make 5 videos for tomorrow, to be honest with you. But that is one video that is definitely going to be made because that is a big deal to me as a Richard Petty fan. But I'm glad he is a consultant, so he still does have a part in the team, and that to me that's an even bigger deal because not seeing Richard Petty at the racetrack would kind of be a bummer. Say Kyle, not Cal. My understanding is Richard Petty is only a spokesperson for Legacy, not 100% on that, but I'm pretty sure Richard is divested. Yeah, so I did hear that right when Mike Joyce said it. He divested all of his shares, but he does still have a role within the team, much like Kurt Busch, no longer a driver for 2311, but he still has a role within the team. Not apples to apples, but similar situation. Let's be real. NASCAR needs to get rid of overtime. It causes nothing but trouble. One attempt at green, white checkered, please, says Alice. Yeah, I think that's a fair measure. These multiple attempts at green, white checkers and people running out of gas, possibly, like Ricky Stenhouse couldn't even do a burnout because he was out of gas. If he had run out of gas, I don't want to see race wins, especially in the Daytona 500, come down to that. So I think one attempt at the green, white checkered is fair, and then after that, the yellow ends the race. I think that would be more than fair. But that's just me. I'm old school. The race ending under yellow never bothered me. Supreme Baller says Keselowski was a monster out there. Another plate race, another Keselowski's not going to lift scenario. So that's not necessarily new. Dakota Rooster says NASCAR Cup Series Daytona 400. Yeah, well, we saw about 400 laps through the commercials for sure. BK had a rocket ship till Busch got up there. Yeah, that's true too. So it just depended on who you had pushing you. The Chevrolets didn't push well, but if you were a Chevrolet and you were getting pushed by a Toyota or a Ford, it looked like that was actually a better combination. But of course, Ford and Toyota don't like that combination, right? So it kind of is what it is. The Chevrolets, even though the Chevrolet snout is more flat than it was, it still does have a point to it. And apparently it has just enough of a point to still be a weapon in this particular package. Can we have that package, that combination from the 2000 Super Speedway package with the tandem drafting? Yeah, the tandem drafting was cool. I never understood why they got rid of it back in the day. About 20 years ago now, but it was definitely fun to watch back then. Man, a bunch of fans. Man, as a Busch fan, I am pissed my boy didn't cross the finish line. Yeah, Smoke Gang. I agree with you. I didn't even see him get involved in that wreck. So I thought he actually got through it and finished the race, but apparently he didn't. He finishes in position 19, so that was a bad day for him. But he had good speed. He had a good car. It was a good showing for RCR. They didn't get the results they wanted. So he's off to sort of a good start with RCR. He does have some stage points to show for it, so that'll soften the blow a little bit. But he finished position 19, and I think Austin Dillon was 33rd, and Ty Dillon was dead last for Spire. But also RCR connection, so I'll throw him in there. T-Van, worst speed 4 days I've ever heard or seen. Yeah, so definitely the rain with the Truck Series, the 4,000 cautions with ARCA. At least the ARCA finish was really good. And then the Xfinity race, it was kind of meh to the very end. And I was surprised that the 4 junior cars didn't work with each other. That was kind of surprising. And then, of course, that one became a wreck fest too. So sort of is what it is. And then just the fact that that race had to be decided by NASCAR, a lot of people will always be uneasy about that. Nobody wants NASCAR making the decision on who won the race. So that's a fair critique as well. And NASCAR themselves don't want to make that decision either, I'm pretty sure. Alice says, good for Stenhouse. Supreme Baller says, I like them racing back to green. I do too, but at the end of the day, it is a situation that is a safety situation. So as much fun as it is to see that, as long as there's not anybody in the way, though, I think they could get away with it at a track like this. But it is a safety situation. So overall, it's you got to throw the caution. Ryan Fussner says, also the pixelated in-car messed with me. Yeah, pixelating the dash, even though they made it less obvious today, it was still so distracting that all I'm doing is looking at that pixelation, and I'm not looking at anything through the window or anything like that. It is very distracting. It's a waste of a shot. If that's the best they can do, and that's not on Fox, that's the teams making Fox do that. If that's the best Fox can do, then there's no need to even show it because it's very distracting. And the whatever they were talking about, the little small camera, could they have stroked that off about 6 more times on air? Oh, it's a tiny camera. It's so great. Okay, we get it, dude. It's literally no different than a big GoPro right beside your head either. But whatever. I don't know. Maybe a race car driver has a piece of that company, and that's why they were promoting it so hard. But I've never seen that much ado about nothing that had any value to it. Tyler Martin said, "How did Stenhouse win if they did not come to the white flag?" They took the white flag. This happened after they took the white flag. So that part is legit. Stenhouse did take the white flag. Supreme Baller says, Ryan put the fuss in Fussner's. Says Supreme Baller. Escobar says, stage cautions really ruin pit strategy for races. I agree. They can have the stages, but get rid of the cautions. And also, that would have trimmed at least 4 commercials because each stage break was a 2 commercial event. So, or 2 commercial break events. So that would have trimmed some commercial time off as well. And it wouldn't have disrupted the flow of the race as well. Rich L says, I was really happy with Zane Smith winning the Truck Series race. That young man has the juice. Yeah, and he finished, I think, 13th here. So he got a 13th here in the Cup Series race, finishing a couple spots behind the GOAT, Riley Herbst, with his 10th place finish for Rick Ware. If you didn't think Riley Herbst was good, think again, because he got a top 10 in a Rick Ware car. So there you go, Riley Herbst haters, take that. I'm just joking. Who had Riley Herbst getting a top 10 though? That's insane. Josh Strickland says Logano's hair makes him look like a Lego man. I don't know, but I think he's definitely got more hair now than when he was like 19 years old. But that being said, he saw a problem and he fixed it. And to me, if you didn't know, you really wouldn't notice. The hair looks good, so I'm not going to hate on him. How about Frankie Munoz? Frankie Munoz on the Hair Club for Men train as well. Frankie Munoz showed pictures of him with thinning hair and then what Hair Club for Men could do for him. So if you've got a problem and you want to solve it, go visit Hair Club for Men. Not a sponsor of the show, but they've done some fine work in the NASCAR series. Supreme Baller, so close to RCR and RFK. Oh yeah, they both were within tasting the victory, but then those cautions just took it away from them. Chrome Diesel, I agree with you. RFK had the strategy, I feel like, until Brad Keselowski basically got taken out. Rich L said, Josh, I was wondering if he dyed his hair as well. Yeah, I think he changed the color of his hair as well because it looks darker. It used to be a sort of a light brown, so I think he went with a different color as well. Horseshoes and those things you can say on Rumble. YouTube is ridiculous, says Say Kyle. Yeah, luckily I caught myself there. I didn't want to go in timeout again, right? So let's see here. Larson was released for the care center for Bob Pockrass. There you go. So he was all the way checked out. I did see him get out of the car. So now we know he was released. Thank goodness for Bob Pockrass, right? I probably wouldn't even have a channel without Bob Pockrass. So shout out to that dude. And he lets us know that Larson is okay, something that the Fox team should have handled as well. They should have let us know that all those drivers are okay, not just Kyle Larson, but obviously being a Larson fan, I was a little concerned until I saw him get out of the car. Sven says, where did Joey Logano's hair come from? Is he a member or owner of Hair Club? He is a member and also a spokesperson. So there you go. I'm not only the spokesperson, I'm a client or something like that. However that commercial went back in the day. That's an old commercial, like from the 80s or 90s. Just in case you're under 30 and don't know what I'm talking about there. Josh Strickland, no, he done something to grow hair. Cha-cha-cha-chia. There you go. So cha-cha-cha-chia. Those were always good Hair Club deals. But look, man, I'm just gonna tell you the truth. If I didn't know any better, like I wouldn't be able to tell. Like I'm just gonna be straight up honest. Like I wouldn't be able to tell. Not only that, but he's probably in his early 30s. I know he's in his early 30s, but he definitely looks like he's in his 20s again because that's a full dark head of hair there. Like it's that's thick hair. Whatever he's got going on, it looks he did a good job, man. Like he saw a problem and he embraced it, and he didn't even BS anybody about it. He's like, yeah, I got plugs. What? So I like how he's embraced it, and he's sort of taken the stigma away from it for a lot of people who that might have held them back. Sonic Popo Speed Pig says, I love all the Logano haters. When Dale Sr. raced, the exact same thing. Way nearly everybody loved it. Well, I'm going to actually disagree with you there. Dale Sr. was Mr. Nice Guy off the track, but on the track, anything goes. To an extent, you're right. They do have a similar personality where they were buddy with everybody off the track, but they wrecked them on the track. We'll just call it like it is, or didn't cut anybody on the slack on the track, whatever, however you want to see it. Everybody did not like Dale Sr. though. Like Dale Sr. had a ton of haters. There was probably more boos for Dale Sr. than probably any other race driver in his era. He very much got the same type of reception that you see Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch and Bubba Wallace get. It was 50% boos and 50% cheers. But of course, boos always drown out cheers over the audio, or even if you're live at the track. Rich Hill laughing at the Chia Pet deal. Jeremy Heath, what's up, man? Good to see you on here. Like, dislike. Richard Petty is nothing more than a mascot now. That is sad. He's a consultant now. Let's not that sad. At least we still see him at the racetrack. But I'll tell you what, he has subtly, and this was a very subtle thing, but he has subtly told you what he thinks about the name change, in my opinion. Because if you look at Richard Petty's shirt, it's got Legacy Motor Club over here. But you know what he's got over here? Petty Motorsports. So he's letting you know. He's letting you know that Petty Motorsports is now a consulting firm, and he's definitely still rocking the red, white, and blue of Richard Petty Motorsports over there. So I thought that was pretty cool. Somebody pointed that out on Twitter, so I was pretty stoked about that. I listened because I don't like the Legacy Motor Club name myself. I listened to MRN. What did Smoke say when 3 of his cars were in that crash? He was not going to acknowledge it, but then Clint Boyer brought it up, and he was like, yeah, just a bad day. And then Clint Boyer, after bringing it up, says, yeah, we try not to bring up stuff like that when it happens. And I was like, dude, you brought it up and then said we try not to bring stuff like that up. But yeah, that was an expensive crash for Tony Stewart, and he didn't get out of it at the end either, because Eric Almirola was in that last crash as well. Not sure if Eric Almirola was able to make it all the way through or got completely tangled up in it, but all 4 of Tony Stewart's cars, unfortunately, were involved in something. Section 8, Marine Corps says, I concur with the commentator from the earlier live stream. Brock Beard and you are the top 2 YouTube now. I appreciate it, man. I'm glad I'm on. I'm just glad I made the list. I'm nowhere near Brock Beard. Brock Beard's the man, but and honestly, I don't feel like I'm near anybody else on the list either, but I appreciate it, and I'll take those votes all day, man. That's very humbling. I'll just be honest with you. That's very humbling because I just never expected any of this, and I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want to tear up. So let's see here. Daytona 530, yeah, 530, but you only got to see about 400 laps of it because of commercials. Like I said, we had at least 36 minutes of full screen commercials according to my tally, and my tally is not nowhere near accurate. I would be in favor of a 5-lap overtime. Yeah, I think after that you get one shot at overtime, and if you can't drive and act right in that one chance, then it's just over with the yellow flag. I agree with that 100%, Larry. Good. I like your comment there. Nathan Urich said, on your earlier live, I stated that the driver that protects himself and puts himself in the right place on the last lap will win. The fastest car definitely did not win today. You're 100% right, Nathan. You were on the money with that one. But to be fair, Ricky Stenhouse was in a couple of incidents before that. So I don't think, actually, this is one race where I don't think anybody got through unscathed. I don't think anybody had a clean car. I think everybody got at least a piece of something at some point. Jeremy Heath says, what a mess. It was a disaster. That end was a disaster. And I'm not taking anything away from Ricky Stenhouse. This is the way plate racing goes. He put himself in position, and he got that win. So good for him and JTG Doherty Racing. Brad Doherty can brag on the golf course now against Michael Jordan that he's got a Daytona 500 ring, and Jordan doesn't. And don't think that won't go down, because those two like to talk some junk, allegedly. Rich L says, who won stage 2? For whatever reason, I missed it. So stage 2 was won by one Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain got stage 2. But that was the one that he won it by just a couple inches. So Ross Chastain won stage 2. So 10 stage points for the Watermelon Man, plus his finish. He finished somewhere in the top 10. I think he finished 10th, and I think Suarez was 9th. So add 10 points to that finishing spot. Sonic Popo Speed Pig. Oh, Jenna Allison says Rowdy fan for life. I didn't go his way today, but he was close. He made an effort and almost got it done if it wasn't for that series of cautions. Sonic Popo Speed Pig says, agree with Larry to a single 5-lap shootout would solve the wreck fest crap. I agree. If you knew that it wouldn't be over, that it would be over if you wrecked again, guys would drive a little bit differently. There's no doubt about that. Ross wins stage 2, I think. Yeah, Ross won stage 2. Stenhouse, shaking my head, says Jeremy Heath. So another anti-Ricky Stenhouse fan. Let's see here. Alda says NASCAR needs to have a TV partner, not named Fox or NBC, something that will have phenomenal TV coverage and not too many commercials. And NASCAR should live stream the races for free on YouTube. Yeah, I agree. I think their next partner will probably offer something like that, and that to me would be more valuable than money. Because once you get that going, it would honestly be just a better deal overall. I think they would get more funding for the sport if you did it that way, much like the Premier League does it, much like F1 does it. You would get more money coming in that way, in my opinion, especially in this age of digital media where everything's streaming. People are not happy to put up with commercials anymore. They're just not very tolerant of them. Brian Kidder said, there's no information on the dash anyone can steal. They all run the same gears. Plus, they've got the SMT data. If you've got the SMT data, I don't know. It's ridiculous, in my opinion. I agree with you, Brian, 100%. They shouldn't be pixelating anything. If you don't want people to see it, then you can literally take it off your dash yourself. So let's see here. Rich L said, yes, sir. Old Home Guy, top 5 in points are the 22, the 17, the 47, and the 20, and the 48. So there you go. Your top 5 in points already. And already locked in, of course, is the 47. I would just take the 47 and put him in front of that, and whoever's behind the 48, that would be my top 5 in points, because points I don't think are really going to matter this year again. Let's see here. Maybe having the stages and commercials was part of a NASCAR plan. Well, yeah, 100%. That was part of NASCAR's selling point. They told people that we would have more commercial breaks if we have stage breaks, and that was something they sold to their TV partners, which might have made sense in that era, but that era is over with. It's time to move on to the new era. And let's just get on with it. Section 8 says Aldis is spot on. Yep, he's pretty good on a lot of his takes, actually. Brian Kidder says Joey's hairpiece, LOL. Yeah, I mean, well, he saw something and he did something about it. So if he's happy with it, I think in his mind he solved the problem. Boyer sounded like he was either really tired or had a few cold ones before the duels broadcast. 100%, he probably had a few cold ones. Probably tired, but dude was sponsored by Jack Daniels. So, and he said he made the most of that sponsorship too. If I had to guess, he's at the Daytona infield, and he took full advantage of being Clint Boyer in the Daytona infield. Rich L said, just in, Joey's hair will be doing all the interviews. Well, that's I'm pretty sure he's getting some decent sponsor money for that hair, so I don't think he's too sad about that. NASCAR has become WWE on wheels. Yeah, it's definitely more about racing sports entertainment now. They've come out and said that. Unfortunately, the yellow line rule, All the gimmicks. NASCAR needs new leadership with Earnhardt Jr., Carl Edwards, Smoke, Harvick, Gordon, and Jimmy Johnson. It probably wouldn't hurt, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I didn't hear Boyer mention drinking the whole race. LOL. Says Brian Kidder. Sorry about that. Brian Kidder. Yeah, he's backed away from that since the ordeal happened. Not going to get into that. I don't want to be in timeout again. I'll just be honest. Say Kyle Not Cal was on the 5 radio. Was on radio. Spotter asked if he was okay 3 to 4 times. No answer. Kyle Larson finally answered him when Cliff asked him. Was worried for a minute. That was a nasty hit. Yeah, say Kyle Not Cal. He probably got the breath knocked out of him. A lot of times in a situation like that, when they keep asking, it's because he's gotten his breath. The driver, any driver, has gotten the breath knocked out of him, and it just takes them a few minutes to get that air back into them, where they can form a response. And there's also a chance that you've got 2 different radios. You've got the spotter radio coming in, and you've got the crew chief radio coming in. There's also a chance that the spotter radio, the wiring harness got knocked out, and he could only hear Daniels. So that could be the other possible explanation for that. But he did get out of the car, and he is okay, as reported by Bob Pockris. Jim Franklin says the coverage sucked today. Commercials with a hint of racing. I think a lot of people felt that way. And Coca-Cola, please get a new Coke Zero commercial. Yeah. Get a. I want to try it first. Yeah. That's what he's referring to there. Escobar said, I had no idea why so many cars crashed at the end. Fox only showed about 5 cars. They did a bad job covering the race today. Escobar, you're pretty accurate about that. And there was also sometimes where they showed who was going for the lead, and there was literally a wreck happening behind them, and they didn't show the wreck happening behind them. Then at the end of the race, when you wanted to see who was going to win the race, they showed the wreck happening behind them. So the situational awareness for the cameraman was not there. And then just sort of some nitpicky stuff that I noticed, because I'm getting more into what I should be doing when I'm filming. They left the autofocus on, which a real camera professional usually does not do. But they left the autofocus on, and when they were going down the cars on pit lane, the autofocus was twitching and flicking out, and it was blurring the car. Then it would show it in full view. Then they would go to the next car, it would blur the car, show it in full view. That was amateur hour as well. So I'll throw that in there as well, which is just something that would only annoy me. I know that. Jim Panacea. I did not say that right, and I apologize. I'm just going to, Gene, I love your show. However, I would like to see a show letting us know who the sponsors are. Everyone knows what Shell and FedEx are, but how about Three Chai and Brandt? Thanks. Go Larson and Hendricks. So yeah, I have an idea for that. I haven't executed it yet, but I need to re-add that to the list, because you are right about that. And actually, back in the day, they used to do this when they were introducing the drivers in the starting lineup. They would go through each driver and they would say where the driver was from. They would show the car, they would show the sponsor, and they would talk a little bit about the sponsor on the car. And then they would just go through the whole lineup. So you did at least get to see every car at least once, and you did get to hear every sponsor at least once. Brian says, what do Jimmy Spencer, Matt Kenseth, Sterling Marlin, Joey Logano have in common? Let's see here. I don't know. I'm not sure about that one, Brian. Drawing a blank right now. Aldous says NASCAR point system over the years has stunk. Even the Latford points format, NASCAR needs to go by his points format, the ALA F1 one, because now you can outscore the winner, and that stinks. Yeah, I agree. Wins should always count for more. NASCAR, of course, would defend that by saying the winner's locked in, which is just a whole nother can of worms. Let's see here. Brian says you had to be willing to fight to be an Earnhardt fan back in the day. LOL. Says Brian. That's 100% accurate. Back in the day, there was many a fight if you had, and you always rolled with other Earnhardt fans because it got serious in the stands back in the day. Provocate says there were plenty of FADET shirts, fans against Dale Earnhardt back in the day. Oh yeah, that's a fact. And there were also back when he had the brush ups when him and Ricky Rudd were at their peak rivalry, and Ricky Rudd went to Tide. They had the Tide shirts for the Earnhardt fans. Tide, the incredible Dale Earnhardt. That was always a pretty good one too. Mike Joy brought it up, buddy. Says Stephen D'Amelio Jr. Let's see. So if Joey's hairpiece was thrown, oh, Mike Joy brought up the. Okay, so Mike Joy brought up the Stewart, all of Stewart's cars getting wrecked. I appreciate it. I heard the wrong dude there. So if Joey's hairpiece was thrown out of his window, taking the flag, would he have won? Says Rich L. I don't know. I'm not going to get into all that. Let's see here. Brian says Suarez should get a fine for intentionally bringing out that caution. Maybe. That was. I'll tell you what. Him and Kyle Busch are not amigos. I'll tell you that right now. Because he not only did he wreck Kyle Busch and cost him his primary car, but he also quite possibly cost him his best shot in a long time at getting a Daytona 500. Nothing was obviously for certain, but he had a better chance of winning it from the front than he did any subsequent restart that they had. I'm proud of Ricky. He's a good dude. Loaned me parts at a dirt track so I could race. Then broke his stuff. He is well known in the dirt community, and he is well liked in the dirt community. Let's see. Alda says old rivals, Cavs versus Bulls, Doherty versus Jordan. Yep, it keeps going. It's cyclical. It's crossed over different sports now. I love the 5-lap overtime idea as well, says Ryan Fussner. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think we got a good one there. Larry gave us a dime right there. That was a good one. Advertising starting time was 2:30. Watched until 3, then changed the channel. Maybe next week, says Michael Sonnen. Yeah. They didn't start the actual race until 3:15, and that was a bad look. Chris R says, well, the thing is cut back to the race. If anything like that wreck happens, shouldn't have to go through 3 more commercials to hear what the heck happened. That's aggravating, but race-wise was good. Yeah, so the actual action on the track wasn't bad. I think that's actually going to be something that sort of gets overlooked. Action on the track wasn't super bad, but the fact that they literally saw a crash happen and stuck with the commercial, that was ridiculous. They should have definitely cut away and gone back. I mean, what can you say there? Like, it was Fox at its finest. Chrome Diesel says NASCAR and Fox need their scheduling right. Advertised race start was 2:30. Green flag happened 44 minutes later. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. That's definitely a bad look. Was almost a quick race until the last 50 laps, says old home guy. Yeah, and then they got to doing what they do. Once one caution came out, you knew the rest were coming. Steven says Joey Logano had the same problem as Will Smith's wife. Yeah, they've got the same sort of disorder as far as not being able to grow hair. Lots of commercials on MRN too. So MRN also had a lot of commercials. I didn't know that. Thanks for that, old home guy. Alda says Chrome Diesel needs to have its afternoon races be at 12 noon and 1 p.m. Eastern time, and night races need to be 6 p.m. or a 6:30 start time. So yeah, a lot of people on board for the noon start time on the East Coast at least. Signing off shortly. I have to go shop like a billionaire. Thanks as always, BB, says Ryan Fussner. So there you go. I understand. Alda says if a caution happens within 5 laps to go, one attempt at a green, white checkered, or somebody doing the 5-lap rule needs to happen. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Let's see here. Brian Kidder's answer is a hairpiece. They all have a hairpiece. I knew Matt Kenseth. I didn't know about the rest of them. Let's see here. I can't believe I was standing up on the TV pulling for the 6 and the 8, and then the 99 spun. And Joey has a medical problem where he loses hair and needs the support. Thanks, says Aaron Flynn. Yeah, that's why I'm trying to stay away from it, because like that's that I don't know. I'm not. I can make fun of people for a lot of things, but something that they can't control, I try to just leave it alone. Jamie Thornton says, "Hey guys, sorry I missed you guys. Just got done watching at a friend's house. Great job by the Fox guys. I see sarcasm. Yeah, they had another stinker of a performance. Let's see here. Up Race Fan says Daytona once again proves that anybody can win out there. Yeah, as long as you got a car, you've got a chance to win that race. There's no doubt about that. Old home guy says, how about no overtime, 200 laps? Yeah, so the scheduled distance is the scheduled distance. I've always been for that. I never liked the overtime idea, to be totally honest with you. And I definitely don't like infinite amounts of chances to finish the race. Jamie says, Fox is so bad. It's not just staying with commercials on the first big wreck. It's the angles they shoot, things they don't even show, like the last wreck. Hamlin's car exploded on fire, nothing shown. Yeah, so it's just insane. Every single step they made today, you could easily critique, and I'll leave it at that. Mark Barnum says the race was good. Fox going to the commercials to get more money for the new contract. Yeah, I agree. It's getting it's going to be a very political year as far as TV coverage goes because they're negotiating a TV contract. Chrome Diesel says Aldous, it's just getting 2/3 of the field destroyed in overtime was so unnecessary. The race gets finished under yellow, even if I wanted to let the race finish the old way under caution. Yeah, I mean, you're just going to tear up more cars and more cars the more restarts you have. Smoke spent 1.2 million on cars in the last few laps. Yeah, that's the way it goes. SHR was looking good through 3/4 of the race. Yeah, I think they had a shot. Herbst with the top 10, says Supreme Baller. Not only a Herbst top 10, but that's a Rick Ware top 10. And when there's a Rick Ware top 10, and then insert whatever their sponsor, everybody gets a free Sunny Delight or something like that. That's what should happen. Supreme Baller, it'd be nice if they were back to green, white, checkered with no caution for the finish. Yeah, I mean, I agree. As long as it wasn't like a danger to them or anything like that, which I think they had plenty of room to slow down before it became a danger. Imagine if Danica had called that race with them. LMAO awkward. We're about to get a taste of that awkwardness after the California race, I believe. Michael Sonnen says Logano has the same problem yep. We just covered that. The pre-race was awful. Oh, goodness gracious, says Supreme Baller. Yeah, so I didn't watch any of the pre-race. I'll just be totally honest with you. I tried to ignore as much of it as possible because I don't know. I don't get into their pre-race very much at all. Not really. I don't really get into NBC's pre-race either. I don't think NBC's pre-race is anything way better. They should just let Caitlin Vincey and the gang handle it from the Fox studio for about 30 minutes, then throw it to the actual 30 minutes before the race, throw it to the actual team at the racetrack. Old Home Guy says, it's odd. Fox was awesome when they started NASCAR coverage. Yeah, because it was important to it back then. Now they don't put any effort into it. All their effort goes into football. Alda says, Elite Precision 29 said it best. NASCAR, the yellow line rule, and too many attempts at green, white checkers ruins the sport, man. Yeah, I agree. And if you're not following Elite Precision, check out his videos. You'll probably like them. So give him a chance over there. And if you like him, give him a follow. Now that 47 is in the playoffs, who do you think is going to be the playoff favorite? Ricky is taking a spot from. Oh, it's too early in the season. It's too early in the season for that. I'll let you know in October. Quiet Cat, what a race. It ended up being a wild finish. It's not the finish a lot of people wanted to see, but at the end of the day, it was a wild finish. Bill France Jr. Didn't Bill France Jr. tell the network the race starts at 12 p.m. or 2 p.m. West Coast back in the day? He was definitely, I think it was, Bill France Jr. was definitely a lot more hard-nosed about it than they are today. Mark Barnum, Logano loses the battle to Haley Deegan for surgical improvements. There you go. Not touching that one either. So you can discuss that amongst yourselves. Trying to stay out of timeout. Let's see here. All four Stewart-Haas racing cars looked nice through most of the race. Said Supreme Baller. Yeah, they had speed. A whole lot of cars had speed. And that's the way super speedway racing is always going to go. You're never going to know who actually had the best car because everybody's going to get tore up by the end of it 9 times out of 10. Fox needs Larry Mack in the booth to tell us what all is happening on the pit box. I did like Larry Mack when he was back. I'm part of the team back in the day. The stage has ruined any chance of old school Daytona strategy. Yep, they do that at every track. Every track, every time they have them. At least the stage break. The stage break does. You're smart. I'll never watch pre-race again. A waste of time. Yeah, I agree with you, Supreme Baller, 100%. It's just going to waste your time. And not only that, it's just going to let you get sucked into the narratives that they're trying to tell. If you don't watch the pre-race and then watch the actual race that happens, you'll easily be able to figure out what they're trying to message and what's actually happening in the race and in NASCAR, in my opinion. I was hoping the 3 would have started behind the 8. Yeah, me too. That was a head scratcher as far as why they decided to do that. That is something that could definitely be broke down over and over again. I'm sure they'll look at it Monday morning. Ryan Priest, he looked like the wheelman he is. Yeah, unfortunately caught up in a wreck. Bad day for the 43, says Delmar Kaufman. Yep, he got taken out pretty early. Danica will wreck the booth like her cars, says Josh Strickland. Z200 says yet again Larson could have won. Yeah, he was close, but then at the end, it happens like it always happens. He got involved in a wreck that was not his doing. Alda says this needs to be the future Cup booth for the whole season. Lee Diffie, Dale Jr., Jamie McMurray, and Steve Letarte. Yeah, having one broadcast partner for the full season would also help. I can't wait to hear Door Bumper Clear this week, says Mark Barnum. I'm sure they'll have plenty to say. Travis Pastrana almost got a top 10. If not for that last big wreck, still ended up with an 11th place finish. Yeah, that was awesome for him. Especially for a guy that didn't get any practice or anything like that until after the duels. Spring Baller says, BB, you're the man. Thanks for not bull jiving and calling it how it is. I do my best. Y'all watch the language, even abbreviations. Thanks, says Rich L. So yeah, there are people are going to learn bad words, but they don't have to learn them here, right? And some of those do watch, so we try to keep it friendly here. Chris R said, just FYI, everyone needs to hit that like button. Yeah, so I would, if you want to hit the like button, I would appreciate it. Let's see here. Jamie Thornton for sure. Mark Barnum and actions detrimental. That's going to be, yeah. I'm actually want to see what Denny Hamlin has to say about stuff too, because I think somebody in here said that Bubba tapped him at the very end of the race as well. So it'll be interesting to see what he says about that. Dwayne Mueller says another Daytona 500 smash up derby. I'm okay with Stenhouse winning. Still don't like the win and you're in. Go Harvick. Yeah, the win and you're in is going to be super problematic this year for people that don't like it, because you don't even have to be top 20 or whatever in points to get in. Let's get it to 100. Let's go. Talking about the thumbs up and the likes, says Chris R. So yeah, I would appreciate it. If we get to 100, we do. If we don't, that's okay too. No big deal. Duke Chronic says, hey, Bologna Burgers was rooting for Kyle Busch. I was rooting for a lot of people. I was rooting for the 2 Kyles, and I was rooting for RCR and Petty GMS, also known as Legacy Motor Club. Let's see, on the 24 radio, behind the 3 and the 8, they were being told right until the last second the 8 and 3 were both going to take the bottom. They changed their mind at the last second and botched it. There you go. They botched it. Sven Larson says, BB, you are a great impartial ambassador. Well, I'm not impartial, but I try to be. But I do admit to my favorites, but I do still try to call it down the middle. Chris Fax, hit that thumbs up button, says Rich L. Brian Kidder says, instead of a 3-hour pre-race, how about an hour post-race? Hey, there you go. Now you're on to something. I like Brian's idea there. An hour post-race and an hour pre-race. Isn't the post-race the most important time? I think so too. Rich L saying 100 about that. Supreme Baller. I thought Priest had a shot. Dang it. Yeah, he was so close. He was super close, but then he got taken out in that wreck. But he had a good race. There's no doubt about that. I think Duke Chronic says, I think the drivers need to get incident points. You shouldn't gain from wrecking a guy. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about incident points, but NASCAR could enforce the rough driving penalties that are in the rule book already. Kyle Busch is going to win a race this season, says Z200. I agree with you. Almost at 50. Nice, says Supreme Baller. Rich L says for a while there, it looked like Hamlin was going to drive over Bubs. Yeah, it was getting rough among the Toyota guys. I feel like the Toyota guys could push as long as there wasn't another Toyota in front of them. It was a very odd situation, but maybe it's just me. Yeah, second weekend, Bubba wrecked Denny and his car exploded in flames. They have a great pic of it on Twitter, but as normal, Fox leaves us in the dark. If that was any of us running the Fox production, we'd be fired. You're 100% right, Jamie, about that. What's up, BB? Great race. It was a very exciting ending, and I thought the racing was good, but the coverage, Mr. J, I'm with you on that. But the Fox coverage took so much away from such a great race. I agree. Old home guy, did anyone have time to turn? Each time you saw the Sunoco sign, I did not have time to do that, unfortunately. I've never felt James. Whoa, jumped up on me. I lost my spot. I'm gonna start here. with Supreme Baller. The 41 was strong, man. I was shocked that SHR looked how they did back in Dega 2018, running strong. Yeah, so it was very similar to that, where they were all running together. I agree. Say Kyle, not Kyle, says the only thing I've ever enjoyed about the pre-race coverage was Waltrip spilling a taco on the 11 car. I would much rather have post-race coverage instead. That was pretty funny. Josh Strickland said, what happened at the end with RCR's car's bad restart? That and Austin Dillon tried to push Kyle Busch, and Austin Dillon got sideways, and that's what caused him to back up to William Byron. And then when William Byron caught Austin Dillon, he was carrying way more speed than Dillon, and that's what caused the Dillon wreck there. Spring Baller said that 500 was nuts. It was a crazy finish for sure. Team FT, today is my birthday, so happy birthday, Team FT. And what a 500. It was a good 500. It was almost a 600, says Supreme Baller. And you're right about that. The commercial 530. Please talk about the ARCA race too. The ARCA race was good. We talked about that a little bit earlier. So him winning that race was like just a really great thing for all the small teams that just try to do it. Van Alst winning that race was definitely just a big deal for everybody. Mr. J, so you think giving cars more horsepower or push or pass type system to allow the cars pass by themselves? I don't know about the push to pass situation. I don't know that I'm necessarily a fan of that. But maybe a little bit more power overall. It's not going to matter either way at a super speedway. At a super speedway, you're going to get what you get. The only thing that might help at a super speedway is to get rid of some of that rear spoiler. And the other thing you can do is have a tire that falls off more so that guys can't just drive wherever they want to drive. But those will be the only two things. But with that being said, do you really want to make a tire that falls off and risk it falling off way too much? Because then if tires start blowing at super speedways, so there's a lot of things to consider there. But I think taking the spoiler off would be the bigger deal at a super speedway, or reducing it, not taking it all the way off. Team FT said last year Waltrip nearly got cake on Denny's car at Dover. Yeah, so there was the cake incident as well. Brian says, doesn't Fox have a new producer lady? Her second or third year deciding on what cameras to show. She's still learning. She's definitely still learning, and it definitely shows. So I'll say that. But she's new. She'll get it together, I hope. C Squared 24 says, I'm so tired of races ending like it did this weekend. Not one race finished under green. We need to cut yellow flags ending the race. Yeah, so that probably would be a good idea. I'm actually for just ending it at the given distance. If you want a green-white checkered, we'll have one. But I don't think we need multiple attempts at it. Supreme Baller said, oh, yeah, tomorrow's President's Day. So nice for the people who are actually off, says Supreme Baller. I'm not off, so I'll be working. Daytona 1000 would be cool. A one-off. They would have to do that on the road course, I believe. Let's see here. Chastain won the second stage. Let's see here. 24 hours of the Daytona 500 and green-white checkers, says old home guy. 570 horsepower at Daytona and Talladega, 6-inch spoiler, 6.5-inch spoiler, small fuel cell, and the X-pipe. So Aldis has a package that he would like to try on the super speedways. Well, if Fox has a new producer, she needs to step it up. And I like Fox, says Supreme Baller. I like Fox too. They came in. I have a lot of good memories of how they came in, but they have they fumbled the bag here recently, as the kids say. Female drivers in ARCA, 2 finished top 10. 5th and 6th. Yeah, and it was the most female drivers that have ever been in an ARCA race. Mark Barnum's a good point there. And Haley Deegan was having a good truck race. She got some stage points before she was wrecked. Well, ARCA finished under green. Yeah, but they also had 4 million cautions before that. But Van Alst winning that race was pretty awesome. They used to have a 22-gallon fuel cell, put twice as many laps on a set of tires. Yep. That also probably wouldn't hurt. Team FT said, and that was a good finish, talking about the ARCA finish. Say Kyle, not Kyle says, don't get me wrong, I don't want us to be F1, but I really wish we had a prime and option tire requirement to make for more strategy. I'm sure Goodyear would mess it up if they did, though. Yeah, so there you go. I would be okay with different tire compounds too. I do think that would be pretty cool. Aaron Flynn says, did I hear Junebug is going to Le Mans with Hendrick? I don't know about him. Jimmy Johnson is. I haven't heard them announce the alternate driver yet though. My bet would be on Jeff Gordon being the alternate driver though. If I had to put money on it, but it's Mike Rockenfeller, Jimmy Johnson. Let me know down in the chat who I forgot. I've got his name, Jensen Button, I think. Let's see here. Daytona 1000 says Supreme Baller. And Chrome Diesel says he would cut the duels down to 100 instead of 150. Yeah, that would probably make for a better race too. C Squared says I'm all for the All Star rules, green white checker rules. Yellow flag laps shouldn't count. Yeah, so there you go. You could not count the yellow flag laps too. That would help. I wonder if the late yellows are intentional to get a restart. I think sometimes they are, Duke Chronic. There is no reason they can't put a 1,000 horsepower under the hood and throw 4-inch spoiler on it. Says Angus 420. You're right. There's no reason they can't, other than the new manufacturers wanting to get in, keep crying about it. They don't want to have to figure out how to build an engine like that, so that's why they don't do it. Remember that Tony guy in the ARCA race, 45 car, he spun really early. He got lapped, but rallied to finish top 20. I believe, yeah, that was a good story too. Rich L says top hours. Wondered if Streamlabs was on. Let's see. I don't know about Streamlabs or anything like that. Sad end for Jimmy. Yeah, he had a good run going, but unfortunately he got caught up in one of those wrecks at the end. Team FT wanted him to win, but he did run in the top 10 a lot. So yeah, all the talk of him being washed up, he definitely put that to bed. He ran really good at this race. Maybe if caution laps didn't count, it would change things. Way too long of the cautions. More personnel in to clean up the crews. Yeah, they definitely need more personnel. I will agree with that. Quiet Cat goes Jensen Button. So Jensen Button was the other one. I did guess right on the last one. Let's see here. Duke Chronic says, I think Jimmy Johnson full-time in 2024. Maybe. If he enjoys it enough this year, he might. But we'll see. Arcade had a full field of cars. Heck yeah. There you go. Rockenfeller, Jordan, Jimmy, and Jensen. So there you go. Mark Martin fan for life. IMSA and Garage 56 invited the Dale Jr. download to broadcast from Le Mans. Oh, okay. So there you go. They're going to do a broadcast from there. That's going to be pretty rad. Rockefeller needs some more cup starts this year. Yeah, he has done good when they've given him something to drive. Frankie Munoz finished 11th in the ARCA race. Good stuff. Yeah, he got a lot of he was getting a lot of negative press for a lot of people saying he shouldn't be in there, and he proved them wrong too by finishing 11th. Good for him. Short tracks everywhere. Don't count yellow flags. I'd love that. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. C squared 24. Supreme Baller says that speedway race had pretty much everybody in the mix. Yeah, like it didn't really matter what kind of car you had, how fast you were, or anything like that. It definitely was rolling. Jeff Gordon is not running the Garage 56, says Josh Strickland. Yeah, I don't disagree, but they can still name him as like an alternate driver because it really won't matter because they're not running against anybody. So as far as that goes, they could announce him as an alternate. He would probably never actually get in the car, but he would be, sort of on the list. Let's see here. Aaron Flynn, he is going, just don't know what role besides being an owner. Talking about Jeff Gordon. Jimmy's full-time. He's almost 50. That'd be insane. Yeah. Let's see. Team FT, when you realize the ARCA race had more cars than Xfinity and trucks. Yeah, so that's a pretty crazy statistic too. That shows you how bad people do want to be in the sport. And if NASCAR could figure a way to make it less cost prohibitive, they would probably have more Xfinity and truck series teams as well. And that was just Daytona. He's going to run good at other tracks first, says Supreme Baller. I mean, yeah, but a lot of people were saying he's washed and he's not going to do anything at Daytona either. So, I mean, he's going to have to prove himself at every race, but he's off to a good start is what I'm getting at. What are you working on this week? Well, I've got to go help Craig work on a hood tomorrow. for his race car. We've been putting the body on, so I'll be doing that first thing in the morning tomorrow, and then I will be heading up to my other job to help a guy make some commercials and stuff like that. If I've got time to get up there, sometimes the race car stuff goes sideways. Frankie seems like a decent guy, unlike most other celebrities, says Supreme Baller. Yeah, Frankie's definitely a race car driver. Talking about Frankie Munoz, Malcolm in the middle. Alda says continuation, Michigan, Pocono, Indy, Oval, 5-inch spoiler, 900 horsepower. Yeah, so the only problem with that is they're not going to go to bigger horsepower because the other manufacturers don't want them to do that, so that they can keep their option open for coming into Cup. So we can cry about the horsepower all we want to, and I'm with you and I agree, but they're not going to do it. Frankie Munoz showed that average Joe can still buy into NASCAR with enough money. I don't know about that. I don't know. He's been racing for a while, so I don't necessarily. Obviously, he's a pay driver, but he's been racing for a while. He's put the time in too. He's more of a racer than I think people give him credit for. Let's see here. What's the horsepower on the Project 56 car? I don't know, but it's like 1,000 pounds lighter than the Cup cars. I don't know exactly how much horsepower it has. Probably around 600, maybe. I would guess. I don't know. Could be 1,000. It might be 1,000. I did see something, and I think they listed the horsepower. I want to see how fast it goes. I don't really care about the horsepower because it's got to be a whole balanced package. I want to see how fast the car actually goes compared to what a Cup car could probably do. Kelly Combs says, hi, Kelly, from a small town in upstate New York. When are you starting to race? My races don't start until April, so it'll be April at the earliest. Supreme Baller says, no, I meant in order to come back full time, like some are saying. Oh, I got you, Supreme. Yeah. Chris R says, when are you racing? The earliest is going to be April. I think the first race is in April, so I'm going to try to hit that one. Team FT says Hunter Deschalt was clearly a start and park. Well, yeah, there you go. Josh Strickland says, peace out. Great show as usual. Thanks for joining us, Josh. Angus 420 says, Supreme Baller by average Joe. I mean, next to no racing experience. I don't know. He's raced a lot of. He raced a full season at Bakersfield in late models, super late models. He has raced BMW, basically IMSA type BMW class cars. So he has plenty of racing experience, and he's done a lot of other stuff too. I just can't remember it off the top of my head. So he's it's not like he just rolled in and he's like, hey, I'm going to drive NASCAR now. That's not how it went down. He's got plenty of racing experience. Gus Dean has a fuel line issue. Let's see. You got to have good sponsors and a good check. Yeah, as long as the check clears, they'll let you race. Since Richard Petty sold his share of the team, he is a paid spokesperson for the team, says Delmar Kaufman. Yeah, he is they calling him an outside consultant. So Team FT says Eric Caudill ended up with engine trouble after his spin. We're talking about ARCA here, just in case nobody's following that. Quiet Cat says Frankie impressed me. He's got in a wreck and rallied back at the very end. Yeah, I mean, look, he's a racer. Like he's got a full season of late model racing. So if you don't think he's the real deal, think again, because I mean, if you race late models, you're the real deal because you're going to put in the time. That's no fun down there at that level because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to be good. So he's not just some dude off the street. It's not just some actor that wanted to pay and go racing. He's put his time in and he's done it the right way. So it is what it is. What do you think could have happened if Scott Melton hadn't wrecked? I don't know. To be honest with you, I caught the very end of the race. I was working on a race car for most of that Team FT, but I did see the first half where they were just wrecking. Supreme Baller said, "Vlog your racing." I will make a vlog about some of my racing stuff. Like Dislike says, our Maryland man did better than I thought he was going to do. Says like versus dislike. Willie Mullins got a top 20 in the ARCA race. Steve Lewis Jr. is in 13th. Some random drivers I hadn't heard of. There's always several of those. I'd like to see Jimmy in SRX. I would like to see Jimmy Johnson in SRX as well. Possibly race against Jeff Gordon in SRX. That'd be cool. Team FT says Costantino in the 45 got all the way up to 15th. Yeah, it was. I'm sure it was a crazy race. Angus 420. Dang. I didn't know that. Good for him. I hope he gets a full-time ride. Let's see here. Let's see. Frankie is living out his dream. Mr. J said Frankie Munoz is living out his dream. Almost every driver is some sort of pay driver starting out. I support anyone at that age doing what they love. Dude is a racer. He earned his finish. And here, I'll just tell you the truth. If you don't have a lot of money, it's actually cheaper to be a pay driver. And nobody wants to hear this, and nobody wants to believe it because I built my own car. Well, that's over with. That's over with. It's been over with for a long time. It's actually cheaper to rent a car. So if you don't have a lot of money, just rent the car, pay the crash clause if you crash it, and that's 100% going to be your cheapest way to race. At some point, I will make a video on the cheapest ways to race. NASCAR says, "Hey yo, what's up, NASCAR City?" C Squared says, "Pretty sad to see Petty lose his team. I wonder if he really knew what he was getting into with the GMS merger." I don't know. I don't know. Until I hear him talk about it, I don't want to jump to conclusions on that. Spam the like button, says Supreme Baller. So yeah, if you guys want to get me up to 100, I would appreciate that. Mark Langren says Bikini's new team is a better team. Same result. Goodbye. I mean, it wasn't anything she could do, Mark, but it is what it is. Let's see. She got caught up in somebody else's mess, but before that, she did score stage points. So it is what it is. I like Frankie. He seems like a humble guy, which fits in with NASCAR for sure. Them guys are usually pretty humble. Yeah, for sure. And so fun fact about Frankie, his first car was from the Fast and the Furious. It was the white Volkswagen that Jesse drove in that movie. And when he was a kid, he wanted to make that his first car he owned. So his first car that he ever drove was from the Fast and the Furious. So how about that? There's your Frankie Munoz fact. Panny Annie says, was there all week. Some of the drivers just seemed over it, and the season just started. It just seems like a media overload. Yeah, they're trying to squeeze what we used to do in 2 weeks into 4 days. So I'm sure those guys are pretty exhausted. Old Home Guy says Frankie has been smart with his money from the start. He did burn it like he didn't burn it like a lot of people did. One wise guy says, what do you think about Auto Club coming up? Thinking Happy has a great shot there. Yeah, I think anybody that's originally from California is going to have a good shot there. I feel like they put a lot more emphasis on it than some other guys do. They moved the gas tank forward, added 1 inch and a half to the tire, and the car was not even moving down the force. That is crazy. Not with the car not even moving, that is more downforce, and that is crazy. Says Aaron Flynn. Yes, they're tricking that thing out. Talking about the Garage 56 entry here. How many races is Travis Pastrana doing? As far as I know, this is the only one. Duke Chronic said the best driver and the worst driver is a tick difference. That's it. A Joe can race, especially at these tracks. I agree with you. Team FT says like or dislike. He has any more scheduled, but would like to see him run more. I think a lot of people would like to see him run more. Riley Herb's got that big time purse money, says Supreme Baller. He's definitely going to always be funded because his family owns the terrible Herbst truck stops. Legend stuff, not gonna lie, says Supreme Baller. Yeah, so there you go. He's already locked in. Like we didn't have him in our Final Four. He's definitely in our Final Four now. Let's see. Mark says, make your own luck, and you need to be aware of your surroundings. I mean, there was nowhere she could go on that wreck, though, Mark. I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that one. I mean, you can say she's not a good driver, and I'm not gonna like push back on that one. But that particular wreck, there was nowhere she could go. Auto Club is going to be insane, says Supreme Baller. I think it'll be a pretty good race. The real season starts at Auto Club, right? So there you go. Jeff Gordon against 7-time champ Jimmy Johnson in the SRX would help the series a ton, says Mr. J. I agree. Team FT says, fun fact, Greg Van Alt's career high finish before yesterday came in 2021 at Winchester when he finished runner-up to Ty Gibbs. I remember that race, actually, because I remember his last name being funny. And I think that's when I followed him on Twitter originally. Duke Chronic said, going to be sad to see Auto Club go after all the history with Greg Moore. Yeah, but hopefully they reconfigure it and make it better. Happy has a great chance every year, every race this year, says Old Home Guy. I agree. Jamie Thornton says, does anybody know yet the official design layout of the track they will be converting Auto Club into? Nope, they don't, because they keep flip-flopping on it, Jamie. They actually came out and flip-flopped on it again here recently after the LA Clash race. Mark says 75-year celebration compared to the 50th. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, the show car for the 50th definitely looked better than the show car for the 75th. I know that. Say Kyle, not Cal. BBCK KFB asking the media who won during his interview, asked who lucked into it. They said the 47, and he says, "There you have it." Hey, there you have it. He watches the show, no doubt about it. That's where he got that from. Rich L says, "I don't know what y'all are liking these races, chat streams before the race and after. Hoping you can make that happen. Doing the stream with the leaderboard live, maybe one day. I gotta wait for that. I gotta wait for the Starlink internet to get here." Before I delve into stuff like that. Auto Club was great last year. They did have a good race last year at Auto Club Supreme. Duke Chronic says JTG won the Daytona 500. Yeah, let that sink in. Spring Baller, what do you think they'll do with the track? They sound confused as heck. I think you're onto something there. I don't think they know what they want to do. True Auto Club, it's time to shine. So there you go. Hey, what's up? Sorry I wasn't here. How are you? I'm doing good. What's up, Team Penske fan? Good to see you on here. Chris R said, why not at North Wilkesboro to help just actually do what the drivers ask for and just see how it goes. So yeah, points race at Wilkesboro would probably be good. Springball says, I personally think they should keep it because it produced very great racing, especially last year. I think that's the reason that they pulled back, and they're having a crisis as to what they actually want to do with it. Remember when NASCAR had the spoiler on the roof at plate tracks? It definitely needs to return, says Aldis. I don't know about that. They get that got kind of squirrely with that thing. Let's see. I got 13 people in my office in a NASCAR fantasy pool. Got 12 people watching who have never watched. It was one of the worst in the league today. LOL. So there you go. That's the way it goes, especially at Daytona. But good on you for getting people into NASCAR racing, say Kyle. Mr. J, who's ready for F1 testing and Drive to Survive? I'm pretty sure a lot of people are, because that Drive to Survive has basically launched F1 to new heights. Duke Chronic says thumbs up for F1. I like. The crazy fact about Frankie Munoz, he was racing the chassis that Sterling Marlin was running when Dale left us. So there you go. Harvick will be fun to watch on his No F's Given tour. I agree, Mark Martin fan. Team FT, JTG nearly won it with Bobby Labonte in 2011. Also, not just happy birthday, but happy birthday to Trevor Bain. So happy birthday to Trevor Bain. Sonny V, you got here late. Any reaction to KB's quote about racing at a real racetrack next week? I think it was those type of quotes that drove Coach crazy. Yeah, he's just frustrated. He wanted to win that race more than anything, so he knows it's the real racetrack that you want to win at. He's just upset that he didn't win. Typical Kyle. Nothing to see there. Let's see here. Team Penske fan says Fox sucks. The commercials today were terrible, and I don't understand how they can't play commercials as much in the pre-race, but in the race they have time to put a bunch of commercials on. Yeah, that's Fox. Brad K's team looked awesome tonight. Says Shaw. I'm just going to go with Shaw. Says Shaw. Brad K and team looked awesome. They did look awesome. Unfortunately, they got caught in one of the wrecks. Supreme Baller says Austin Dillon's life in the mid pack still going to be aired. I don't know if they picked up the reality show again. Gonna be interesting to see there. Carbon fiber with the brakes. They are working on a few cars to carry out of the country to have some backups. Says Aaron Flynn. Talking about the Garage 56 entry there with the carbon fiber brakes. Jamie Thornton says, would be interesting if they made Auto Club a short track that was concrete with banking. I honestly would love to see them turn it into Darlington egg-shaped track on one end. That would be cool, especially if they did it a short track version. I think you're onto something there. Mark Langer and NASCAR had two suppliers, and it was not good. Just kidding. I like Dylan's Supreme Baller. Yeah, it's all good. Like you can crack on whoever you want to here. We just roll with it. Duke Chronic, Austin did the correct move to take the front row. Yeah, I mean, you always go for the win. So it is what it is. Shaw says Fox had excellent commercial coverage. Too bad it was occasionally interrupted by a race. I agree. Those races really get in the way of my commercial. Supreme Baller says they ought to rename Austin Dillon's Life in the Mid-Pack instead of the Fast Lane. Another stab there at Austin. Chrome Diesel says, I'm curious how many horsepower does the 56 car have? I don't know. That's something I'll have to look up. I did see it at one point. Rich L laughing at the Austin Dillon joke. Sure, your idea or someone here paying for a NASCAR stream on the race-free, commercial-free, I'd buy into that in a heartbeat, says Sonny V. And I would too. And Supreme Baller laughing as well. And with that one, I am going to sign off on this one. It was fun. We'll catch you on the next one with Tuesday, if it's not earlier. I might do one tomorrow, but definitely for sure on Tuesday. So look for it on Tuesday. Don't let the days go by. Glycerine and peace.